So last year there was no Pro version, and this year there is only a Pro version. This is the Nothing sub-brand CMF's second go at a budget phone, and I gotta say, I have no idea how they made any profit on this thing, considering how much they managed to pack into it. But earlier this year, Nothing released a mid-range Phone 3A series lineup. So how does the new CMF Phone 2 Pro stack up? And which is the right one for you? They all come in pretty small boxes, so there's no charging bricks bundled in, though they all come with cables. The CMF is the only one that packs in a cover, and it's the cheapest one here. The CMF Phone 2 Pro costs €279 for the 256GB variant, which is around the same as last year. The Nothing Phone 3A is $100 more, and the 3A Pro is $459. So is it really worth spending the extra money on one of the mid-range Nothing phones? Well, that's what we're here to find out. The CMF phone comes in orange, light green, white or black. The 3A comes in white, black or blue, and the 3A Pro comes in gray or black. I have the green CMF, the blue 3A, and the black 3A Pro. And the one that stands out to me the most has gotta be the blue. It's just so clean. But regardless of which one you go for, people are always gonna look twice. There are no other phones out there that look like this. Nothing phones are known for this kinda transparent look, filled with shapes and detail, while CMF is going for a more mechanical, modular look. This kinda makes sense, since the main reason to pick one up instead of another phone at this price is because of its modular design. I'm sure you noticed the CMF has screws all around the back as well as a thumb screw in the corner for a lanyard, just like we saw with the previous phone. But unlike CMF's first phone, this one's backplate isn't removable, which means that you have to buy a separate universal cover in order to use all the accessories you could use last time out. The universal cover screws onto the existing back and allows you to use all the accessories from the last phone, as well as the new magnetic wallet, since the cover includes a magnet, even though there's no wireless charging, and 2 different interchangeable lenses. The strange thing is that none of these accessories are available on their website, and apparently they might only be available in the UK. So what's the point of buying a modular phone if you can't actually buy any of the mods? The cover will cost you $25, the wallet will be $35, and the lenses will be $35 for both. So that's $95 altogether, which then brings the package up to the same price as the Phone 3A. I didn't receive any accessories, unfortunately, but the lenses are only for the main camera. There's a fisheye lens and a macro lens, which is weird because I feel like if they had just invested more money into a better ultra-wide camera, then they could have possibly included and embedded these features directly into the phone instead of having separate lens caps for the main camera, which just does not make any sense to me. But hey, it's different, and that's pretty much the angle here. We'll get to the cameras later, but it seems the main reason you can no longer remove the backplate is to A, make the phone thinner, and B, make the phone more water resistant. It's now IP54 instead of 52, so it can withstand splashes instead of just rain, but the 3A series is IP64 rated, which means they have the same water rating, but are also more dust tight, which makes sense since they don't have screws. It is thinner, but not by much, and it's not exactly noticeably thinner than the 3A series, so I wouldn't buy one purely based on thickness. And since the main reason to buy one is for the accessories, you will most likely want to attach that universal cover, which will ultimately make it even thicker. And the thing that I liked most about the first CMF phone is that you didn't need a case, because if you broke the backplate, you could just replace it with another. The backplate is also still plastic, while the 3A phones have glass backs. Now, the main reason to get a Nothing phone instead is for that cyberpunk-like design. Both the 3A and 3A Pro have glyph lights around their cameras, which can be customized to light up with music, essential notifications, which will keep a light on until you open that notification, volume as a timer, as a camera flash, and more. It's a nice to have feature, but I wouldn't say it's a must unless you're one of those people that always puts their phone facing down. I'm not one of those people, but they're trying to be different here, and the lights have kind of become their signature, which I can appreciate. They are really cool though, and definitely a good conversation starter, but the thing I like most about Nothing phones are their overall designs. They just scream technology. Their side frames are more squared off than the CMF phone, and their camera modules are more pleasing to look at too. The CMF kind of has a Samsung camera array. The 3A's cameras have a pixel look, and the 3A Pro has that ultra Android phone look thanks to that enormous camera island. They're all really comfortable to hold, but what's nice is that the CMF is a budget phone that kind of feels like a mid-ranger, while the Nothing 3A series are mid-range phones that almost feel like flagships. And I'm not sure if you noticed when I showed the frames, but they all have a dome-shaped button underneath their power buttons, known as the Essential key. It's baked into the software as an AI button, but it's more like a screenshot button. Tap it once and you can attach a note to a screenshot, hold it and attach a voice memo to a screenshot, and double tap it to open the Essential space where all of this is saved. It's useful to remember things, it can remind you about things, and you can even click it in the camera app to save a screenshot instead of take a photo with a note attached to it. But unfortunately, you can't use it for anything else. It would have been nice to have the option to make it into a shortcut button instead of force you to use something you might never actually use. Thankfully, there are some third-party apps out there which let you change this, but I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally pressed it. It might be a different shape to the power button, but most Androids have the power button and volume rocker on this one side. So I have often found myself trying to adjust the volume, but instead lock the phone or take a screenshot. I guess if you're coming from an iPhone, you'd be used to the volume keys being on the opposite side, just like we have here. But I mean, you'll get used to it. I'm just nitpicking here. Think of things like the Essential key and the glyph interface as added bonuses. They didn't need to include them and you don't really need them, but the phones cost pretty much the same as the competition and you get these extra features at no additional cost. I wouldn't buy any of these phones because of these features, but they make the phones more fun. They also didn't need to make their design so unique, but again, this makes their phones more fun. Phones are starting to get pretty boring these days, so I can really appreciate that there are still brands out there that want to make your life just that little bit more enjoyable. They all have optical fingerprint sensors under their screens, and they all use the same strong Panda glass for protection. The bezels wrapping around their screens are all quite symmetrical, and while the bezels on the CMF are a bit thicker, they are noticeably slimmer than last year, especially in terms of the chin, which is no longer thicker than the rest of the sides. And even though the CMF is quite a bit cheaper, it uses the exact same display as the 3A series, which is a decent upgrade over the first CMF phone. They all have the exact same 10-bit 120Hz 6.77-inch flexible AMOLED panels with Full HD Plus resolutions, 480Hz touch sampling rates, 1000Hz game mode touch sampling rates, to 160Hz PWM dimming, and up to 3000 nits of peak brightness. So if you care about displays, there is literally no difference here, and those displays go hand in hand with the best thing about these phones: their software. They're all kitted with Nothing OS 3 on top of Android 15. The CMF runs OS 3.2, but they're pretty much the same thing since it introduces something called private space to the left of your app drawer, which was added to the 3A series with the 3.1 update. The CMF now also offers an always-on display, which was missing last time out, and it's the same great one that we see on the 3A series with loads of customizable widgets available. This goes hand in hand with customizable widgets on your home screen, which are mostly interactive and actually useful. There's also a big sense of personalization with things such as system color and icon packs, with the signature monochrome icon pack being my favorite. The settings menu and notification shade are very stock-like. Actually, pretty much everything is stock Android, but laid with Nothing's customizations, which are actually enjoyable, unlike other system UI skins. For example, not only is there an option for large folders, but you can customize the large folders look too. There was literally no bloatware when I first booted up these phones, and there's now something called Smart App Drawer, which automatically categorizes your apps. If you're someone that cares about software more than anything else in a phone, then honestly, this is the best Android software experience ever. And it's nice to know that the cheaper CMF phone doesn't skip out on any features this time around. Oh, and by the way, they all offer 3 years of major Android updates. They also all offer Google Discover to the left of the home screen, Circle to Search when holding down the navigation bar, and of course Gemini and Gemini Live.
Hi, I'm Gemini. We're about to go live, where you can explore complex topics or ideas just by talking. Hi, I'm Gemini. We're about to go live, where you can explore complex topics or ideas just by talking. Hi, I'm Gemini. We're about to go live, where you can explore complex topics or ideas just by talking.
I'm not sure if you noticed there, but the CMF phone only has one speaker, and it doesn't even sound half as good as the stereo speakers found in the 3A series, and it doesn't get as loud as them either. The good news is that the CMF phone now has NFC, just like the 3A series. This wasn't the case last year. The bad news is that only the 3A Pro has eSIM support. Another thing worth pointing out is that only the CMF phone has an option for expandable storage at up to 2 terabytes, which is actually a pretty big deal considering all of them only have a max onboard storage of 256 gigs. They all have the same sized 5000 mAh batteries, but the 3A series has faster 50 watt wide charging, while the CMF sticks to 33 watts. None of them support wireless charging though. But they should last all day since they all pack in efficient 4nm chipsets. The CMF has a Dimensity 7300 Pro CPU, and the 3A series have the same Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 chip. So of course the 3A series phones offer similar benchmark scores. They should all be able to handle light gaming without issues, but the 3A series phones will likely push out more frames when playing more demanding games. That said, all of them feel like they're on a flagship level when using them on the daily, and that's because Nothing OS has been so well optimized. There might be a hiccup here and there, but in general they feel just as fluid as a phone that costs twice the price. But then there's the cameras, and the new CMF phone has drastically improved from last year. They have ditched the useless depth sensor, improved the main camera, added in an ultra-wide and even a telephoto sensor. This is probably why they labeled the phone Pro. The selfie camera seems to be the same 16 megapixel sensor though, so on paper it's a lot less capable than the 3A's 32 megapixel and 3A Pro's 50 megapixel selfie cameras. They all have 50 megapixel telephotos and main sensors and 8 megapixel ultra-wide cameras. But the ultra-wide camera in the CMF isn't as good on paper or in reality. The 3A and 3A Pro use the same sensor here, but the Pro seems to produce a slightly better snap. The CMF and 3A seem to share the exact same main camera, but only the 3A has OIS here. The Pro also has OIS for its main, but it uses a slightly larger and better sensor than the standard 3A. The 3A is streaks ahead of the CMF, but the 3A Pro is again slightly more balanced. When it comes to telephotos, the CMF and 3A have the same 2x optical zoom, while the 3A Pro has a periscope sensor which can reach 3x optical zoom. The CMF and 3A also offer a 4x in-sensor zoom, but the 3A Pro does it at 6x. Only the 3A series offer AI ultra zoom at higher focal lengths. The CMF has the widest aperture here, but the smallest sensor size. The 3A uses a better sensor, but both of them lack OIS. The 3A Pro has the largest sensor size, the best zoom camera, and is the only one that uses OIS. It can also reach further at 60 times, but it's far from perfect. It's also the only one with a dedicated macro mode for its periscope camera, and it looks incredible. This is the closest distance I could get to the subject on each device, and the 3A Pro clearly has the best minimum focusing distance. The CMF almost looks as good as the 3A Pro here, but then I realized it reverted to its main camera. Using their telephotos to take portrait shots had the CMF come out looking a bit flat and the 3A Pro showing how much better its periscope is. When taking selfies in portrait mode, they all crop into 1.2 times, and this can't be changed. The 3A has a slightly better selfie sensor than the CMF, but the 3A Pro has the best of the lots even though it has a narrower focal length. And it also has the largest sensor, so it tends to let more light in. But unfortunately it can't be binned down, so you'll always be stuck with 50 megapixel shots. At night, the ultrawides found on the 3A series produce much better images than the CMF, and the same goes with their main cameras, but the 3A Pro takes a noticeable lead here. It also produces more detail when using its periscope at night, and lighting on the 3A series is more natural when using the glyph torch. All of them cap ultrawide video out at 1080p and 30 fps, but the CMF is noticeably worse in terms of dynamic range and detail. 4K 60 fps main video would have been nice, but at least they can all film at 4K 30 using their mains. There's also a 1080p 60 fps option, but at 4K, the 3A is a bit too oversaturated and the 3A Pro is streaks ahead of the other two. They can all shoot 4K 30 telephoto video and they all look great. Though once again, the 3A Pro is a step ahead here. For some weird reason, none of their telephotos offer 60 FPS video even when dropped to 1080p resolution, and there is no portrait mode for any of their sensors, not even their selfies.
So all three devices can actually record 1080p at 60 FPS when using the selfie camera, but only the 3A Pro can achieve 4K selfie video, where the others are completely limited to 1080p. Either way, let me know your thoughts on their video quality as well as, of course, the microphone performance.
But then we started recording videos at night, and the results kind of speak for themselves. When using their selfies, the CMF is filled with more noise grain, but at least its video is more visible. It's the same case when recording with their ultrawides. The CMF just seems to let more light into its sensor. And it's again the same when filming with their main cameras. The CMF does get brighter once again, but the 3A Pro definitely comes out ahead in terms of realism and detail. I used the glyph torch when recording telephoto video for the 3A series and the flash on the CMF. The glyph certainly brings things out in a more natural way, but the CMF does brighten things more. That said, it is more blown out and the 3A series produce a lot more detail here. When it comes to cameras, I feel like we have a clear winner here. You guessed it, it's the 3A Pro. The 3A wasn't far off though, and it's noticeably better than the CMF, though the CMF has a much better camera setup when compared to last year's phone. If you're on a budget and can live without a glass backplate, the glyph interface, faster charging, eSIM support, stereo speakers, and cameras with OIS, but would rather have a modular design and expandable storage, then the CMF Phone 2 Pro is the phone for you. If you have to have the best camera system out of all three and absolutely need eSIM support, then the Nothing Phone 3A Pro might just be worth the extra cash. But if eSIM support isn't a factor, then the standard 3A is pretty much the same phone. Its cameras are almost as good, it's quite a bit cheaper, and that blue color is just fire. I'd understand if you'd rather pick up the CMF instead due to that modular design, but once you factor in the overall price of all of those mods, it's gonna cost the same as the 3A. And that's if you can even get your hands on those accessories at all. But if all you care about is display, battery, and software, then you can't really go wrong with either device as they're all exactly the same. The main reason I'd go with Nothing instead of something else is for that software experience alone. I really hope that this video helped you make the right choice here. As always, this is TechNick and I'll catch you in the next one.